Welcome to Primetime Picks on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. I'm Charlie Dern. He's Corey Sparks. This week we've got our lessons learned. We've got some Packers props talk and the fantasy corner for Week 15 of the NFL, and then we'll get into our picks on the second half of the show. Corey, bear down. Bear down.
I never thought I'd hear you say
Yeah.
it. I doubted you. I mean, people can roll back to the prior episode. You said you were taking him, was it 3 or 3.5 at the time? I don't remember.
I think it was 3.5 at the time. I was hoping to get a 4. Didn't need it. Didn't
and
need
then you
the 4.
threw out the notion that, hey, I just think they're going to win outright.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? I hope so. And they did. Great matchup. Secondary got shredded. Fields looked clean. No turnovers. Yeah, I'm shocked. We're a game out of the playoffs, but we're also 6 teams behind the last spot.
Right.
So mixed feelings there. But yeah, bear down.
Yeah, I think I saw there's like 13 teams that are either 6-7 or 5-8. So there's a bunch of teams that are in the playoff race.
Yeah.
And I know I jumped on the Bears bandwagon. I guess that wasn't really a bandwagon move. I got there early,
It was a good matchup.
but I'm
Yep.
jumping off early.
Oh, great. Okay. Well,
I'm
nice knowing you.
I'm no longer a Bears fan. That was a 1-week thing. I'm done doing it. Do you think the Bears are going to bring back Fields and Eberflus? Because now they're at a point where you're starting to be like, hey, maybe Eberflus isn't that bad, and maybe he just needed his defense to come together.
Right. I mean, you get the Montez Sweat signing. I do think Ryan Poles is, at least since he's showed up in the last year, one of the more respectable GMs right now with how aggressive he's been in the market, with the position this team is in, trading that first overall pick for a king's ransom. Yeah, I think the magic number for this team is get to 7 wins. If you get to 7 wins, Fields is safe and Eberflus is safe. I honestly think that Getsy could blow his job at any point again. I started to see those screens towards the end of the game against the Lions. Luckily, it didn't matter because the game was on ice. If he gets screen happy when Cleveland brings out all-out pressure, I think he should be gone by the end of the game. He won't be, but I think Eberflus is fine. I think Fields is fine. I think Getsy's the one with the real hot seat at the moment.
I think Getsy's the one that gets the short end of the stick. And Eberflus, maybe. I think they try and trade Fields, and they're just going to end up taking Caleb Williams and doing that. I think they should just get the cheap, younger quarterback. Just do that. The rookie deal makes sense, especially when you have a good defense, and the Bears' defense is coming together.
Right. It's just he's in that awkward phase, right? 3rd year on your rookie contract. You could do the 5th-year extension and wait things out a little bit. But then again, you do have a lot of draft stock. But then again, you could also pull the DJ Moore move and trade this year's first overall pick, which keep it up, Panthers. I love it. For a haul, I really don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's also a universe out there where they go out and if they believe in Fields and he tears it up the next few games, even if they miss the playoffs, say they go 7-10 or 8-9, they go get him Marvin Harrison Jr. And then, there's no excuses. That's betting on Fields. So I think the story is still yet to be written, but we're going to find out a lot in the next month.
I still think that they are the Bears that we've come to know, and I think they'll crash back down
I'm
to
ready
earth.
to be let down.
Yes,
I am ready to be let down. We'll see.
Well, the other thing that I got right, didn't pick it on the show because I was a coward. I was afraid of this Cowboys-Eagles game, and I've mentioned it so many times. I've got a ton of different Cowboys futures that I have. I needed the Cowboys to win that game, and they won it. They blew out the Eagles, I'll even say. The Eagles don't look good.
David Carr was right. Marcus Mariota is the answer.
Yeah, right. They need to give Jalen Hurts some time off. Yeah, clearly, yeah. So I had Bears. My Cowboys did well. I picked a Herbert prop in our parlay, which will never hit again, by the way. And I know you'll get to that. But I picked a Herbert prop, and now he's out for the year.
Cursed him.
Yeah, that's on me, Justin. That's my bad. But I've got to be better than to take a Chargers bet anyways. I already canceled them. I didn't bet on the Chargers outright because they are canceled. It's over. It's not happening. But I still did that. That was a bad idea. And then the Packers game, we talked about it, exactly how it went down, but that still sucked to watch. Like, that was terrible.
They're a team that's well under 500 on the road, and this kind of leads into one of my lessons learned. I brought this theory up before, but it really hasn't resurfaced until I'd say the last couple weeks when the QB market's gotten really thin. The no-tape theory. What do we really know about Tommy DeVito?
Yeah.
We know he has an agent that looks like he's straight from the mafia. We know he's like the most famous Italian in the NFL right now. And we also know that he played 1 full year at Illinois in a completely different system, and he's played a handful of games in the NFL. There's not a lot to know about somebody like that. So you have that unknown card. Maybe he comes out and shocks you, or maybe he lays an egg, and we saw the former. So it's It was weird. I didn't really know what was going to happen in that game. I thought it'd be ugly. And it was. Not ugly like that, though. Yeah.
The Packers' whole game plan was let Tommy DeVito beat you. I won't say that's wrong. That is the right game plan.
Yeah, he managed the game just to perfection, I guess.
Then he's beating us, and they don't adjust. They're like, yeah, well, make him do it again. And he did it again. And
yeah. Was there a QB spy out there at any point?
No.
Okay.
No.
Nice job, Joe Barry.
No. It was so
How
bad.
hot is his seat right now after that?
Well, we have, for a little while there, we had, a top 10 defense.
No, yeah.
And
Personnel-wise, I
then
think
we do that again.
I think the product on the field is great.
It's amazing. And then we got the classic LaFleur quote of, I don't know why we were giving them a cushion on defense. We've said that now for 2 or 3 years.
If you don't know why, there's an issue.
I think we know why. Man.
Yeah, they were playing like there was 5 seconds left, and the Giants were on their own 20. There's prevent defense, and there's giving a little cushion. And, again, we were seeing the former.
Well, what were some of your other lessons learned?
I have no words for the Vikings or the Raiders right now.
Yeah.
I think everyone deserves a refund. I looked it up. Over 62,000 people went to that game.
In Vegas?
Yeah, I'm fully convinced that 62,000 people deserve some type of financial compensation for that horrific attempt of a football game from both sides. That was horrible. So that's not even really related to the show, but it's football. Yeah, that's beyond canceled. They have their own list now. So.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't see much of that game. That game was on Red Zone, I think, 1 time, 2 times.
Yeah.
Just for the field goal.
Oh, they crossed midfield. See if they can move the ball anymore.
That's pretty much the Red Zone for those teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Packers props talk.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So we talked about the Packers game, and it didn't go well. But it went exactly how we talked about it. We talked about how it'd be a Big Ten football game.
Yep.
About how it would be rush-oriented. The Packers might try and throw, but it's not going to work. Jordan Love, there was a couple throws, and they do the Packers Twitter kind of goes crazy. They take the all-22 clip, and then they say, oh, look at the wind. It blows the ball in the air, and that's what caused the interception.
Yep.
Okay, yes, but then if we know it's windy, we should be running the ball. That's a LaFleur thing.
We should compensate for that.
Or if we know that it's super windy, we're still an outdoor team that plays in brutal conditions. So I don't really like using that as an excuse.
Right.
If you know it's going to be hard to make a deep ball, don't attempt one.
Yeah, half the season's at Lambeau. I mean, you're kind of used to that type of environment. A
So
little confused about A.J. Dillon. I really thought he was going to score.
I guess we just didn't have many opportunities to score. But, yeah, he's so due to score. He's got to get one.
Mm-hmm.
I think this week he will get that one, and I'll talk about that in a second, especially coming home to Lambeau.
Yeah.
I do like that one. I had Love under 226 passing yards. I can't remember if he even went over on that. I doubt it, right? I can't imagine he did. Maybe on that last drive he might have gone over. Then I also had Love longest completion under 36.5. I think that hit easily, I'm pretty sure. He didn't have a great game throwing the deep ball, and people didn't really do much after the catch. Quay Walker didn't play. I talked about him going over on his tackles. I think he would have gone over if he did play because they were running the ball very often, and Saquon couldn't do anything against our running game, which was impressive because that never happens with us. And then I said Rashawn Gary to score or to record 2 or more sacks.
Yep.
The Packers did not record a sack at all against one of the worst offensive lines in the league and against the quarterback 3 for the New York Giants.
Yeah.
That was the worst miss. Rashawn Gary finished with the worst defensive rating on the team, or on one of the bottom 3 defensive ratings on the team. Bad.
I think a mobile quarterback like that, along with somebody who, we don't have a whole lot of film on, just threw a wrench in things. I mean, they got into the backfield plenty, even when they rushed 4. I mean, yes, there were times when it looked like they were stifled. You have the bad defensive ratings, but the Packers had chances. It was just a matter of this guy wrestling free and running for 70-plus yards. Love your under did hit. He was at 218. So even with that final drive, the A.J. Dillon thing is just odd because they continue to use Jaden Reed on that end-around, jet sweep, reverse, whatever you want to call it. However, whatever hybrid they have for next week, we'll have to see, around the red zone. And it worked the first time.
Yeah.
And then they decided to try it about 7 more times.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but that kind of seems to be the answer, is just get a little cute and creative around the red zone as opposed to just taking probably the strongest guy on offense in terms of who's going to have the ball in his hands and putting it up the middle. I don't know.
They will never run under center with A.J. Dillon in a close yardage situation, and it's mind-blowing to me. It's amazing how far they'll go.
I think they're overcomplicating it.
They'll try and run any other play besides just downhill running A.J. Dillon. It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Well, this week, the Packers take on the Buccaneers at Lambeau. It's a noon game. The Packers are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 42. I'll tell you right now, the Packers being 3.5-point favorites, that is a rat line. They want you to take the Packers. We will not cover the 3.5. I think we probably win this game on a field goal.
Okay.
Packers play one-score games. We had the script last week. I don't love the script this week. I don't really know. I think it's going to be like a 24-21 game.
Yeah.
We're going to play a one-score game. The Bucs play one-score games. That's the way this is going to go. So I'm going back to A.J. Dillon anytime touchdown.
Okay.
I think he's got to score, right? It's at Lambeau. He's going to get a Lambeau leap. The Packers fans love A.J. Dillon. I know he's been struggling, but he's got like the key to the city in Door County. Packers fans love him. And then what I'll do is Jordan Love over on his passing yards.
I like that a lot.
The Bucs defense, I think, allows their top 5. They might be number 3 in yards allowed in the passing game. I think Jordan Love is going to have that comeback game or the get right game after really struggling in all aspects of his game against the Giants. What are you looking at?
Tucker Kraft anytime touchdown
Your
could be
guy.
interesting. Yeah. Of course, we considered this on the parlay, and we're like, over yards, that could hit, but I think we took A.J. Dillon anytime touchdown, which I was fully confident in. I'm like, yeah.
So confident.
And then I texted you, and Tucker Kraft hit his over on one catch. I mean, Jordan Love was in the shadow of his own end zone and then chucked it to midfield, and there was Kraft breaking a couple tackles. I think anytime touchdown here makes a lot of sense. Pairing it with that passing yards could be good too. Like the C.J. Stroud coming out game, that was against the Buccaneers secondary. They've had a lot of poor moments, where they're allowing teams to drive down the field in under 45 seconds. So even with the weather, I think they're pretty vulnerable in the pass.
Well, let's move on to the canceled list.
Oh, God.
I don't have any additions this week. I didn't have any really big qualms with anybody. But I will say that at this point in the season, my canceled list is really working for me. I really like it because it's helping. There's a game this week, the Falcons-Panthers. Both teams are canceled. I don't even have to think about that game, right? I'm not even going to watch it. I won't put it on its own screen like I might do for a different game that I picked. I'll have 2 screens. I'll have the Packers game, and I'll have Red Zone on, and I won't have to worry about Falcons-Panthers. I'm happy with that. I'll take that into the week.
I'll just review what I have here, and I got some right. There's a name at the bottom who I have to say again, who I hate saying. But, yeah, we'll start with my little list here of what went right and what didn't. Sky Moore, no regrets. That's one of the weirdest hype phases that lasted about a year and a half that I've ever seen. He had has had one game so far of at least 3 catches, or more than 3 catches. Gabe Davis, he's had 4 performances of 20-plus in fantasy standard PPR and 3 performances of exactly 0. And he wasn't hurt. He played a lot.
Just running cardio. Just cardio.
So I would say, I was on the hype train for maybe half a week. I'm like, that was a really good performance. He's had 2 in 3 weeks. It was bait, and a lot of people bid on it. Denver Broncos, what a glow up. Get off my list.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That was
They deserved
quite the turnaround.
They deserved getting canceled, though. I'll say that.
Oh,
They were
70
they
points?
were so bad.
How do you go from 70 points to a winning record, and Cortland Sutton's about to have over 10 touchdowns this year?
I picked them outright in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you picked them outright since?
No.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, right.
If you want to kill their season, just do that again. John Dodson, I threw him on there. I'm kind of in the same place that I was when I originally threw him on the list. There's a cluster of wide receivers. It is the most pass-heavy offense in the league. But the only real play in Washington that I like in the passing game is Sam Howell. Lots of volume there. He's competing with Samuel. He's competing with Terry McLaurin. He's competing with Logan Thomas. He's competing with Antonio Gibson in the pass game. There's just too much there to really like anybody. Damian Pierce, losing the job to Devin Singletary was not on my bingo card this year. But once I started to get a sense, this guy's averaging under 3 yards a carry, dropped him. He is over that mark now, so congrats, I guess, but still not doing very well. Tutu Atwell, I'm going to pat myself on the back for this one. The public panicked that Puka Nacua would be the one to get shoved to the side when Cooper Kupp came back. And, you can't really have 3 slot receivers on the same field, so I figured, if somebody just set the rookie record for, most receiving yards in the first 5 games, I thought it was more likely he and Cooper Kupp would be a 1-2 punch and everybody else would suffer. That's what we've seen. Tutu Atwell is invisible now, so we have that. New England, yeah, that's not going to come off for probably years. Tony Pollard, I'm going to rip that one off right away. I don't think I can take him off this. I don't think I'm legally allowed to after what I said about a month ago. No. So Yeah, I guess for the sake of his season, I'll be the bigger person and keep him on here so he keeps doing well.
I think Tony Pollard canceled you.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. It was the other way. Yep. Vikings, I'm going to stick with that. Inconsistency to begin with. The injuries don't help at all, especially with Justin Jefferson going down and Josh Jacobs having the 2 horrible weeks and losing the job outright to Nick Mullins. Jets quarterbacks. Yeah, I'm going to stand by my word. I really don't care that Zach Wilson threw for 300 yards and a couple touchdowns. He had that great game against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
AFC Player of the Week.
Let's give him his
Zach
flowers.
Wilson.
Let's give him his flowers.
You canceling that?
That was an outlier. Yeah,
Based on what evidence?
the other 30 games. But, yeah, feel good about most of those. But if anyone's getting taken off, it's the Broncos.
Okay.
What a glow up.
Yeah, I like it. And it's good because the canceled list keeps us,
Holds us accountable.
It holds us accountable, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Quickly to the fantasy corner. Just going over, if right now the playoffs are starting this week in fantasy.
Yep.
And you're going to need a quarterback likely because there's like 16 starters out.
Uh-huh.
What are your options?
There's 2. This was kind of like pulling teeth to look for because I can't. Derek Carr's available in a lot of leagues, and he's one of the few starting quarterbacks who's pretty much been in the whole season. He had the short stint where Jameis replaced him. I can't go with Derek Carr.
No.
Jake Browning against Minnesota. He's averaging 25 fantasy points per game in the last 2 weeks, and he has a chance to pass Kenny Pickett in touchdowns through the air this week. He has 5. Pickett has 6. And then Matt Stafford against Washington might be the steal of the century. He is owned in 58% of leagues, but he's facing a Washington team that took over that wonderful title from the Chargers of allowing the most passing yards in the league per game. So I think this team goes pedal to the metal. It's one of, as we said before, many NFC teams at 6 and 7. I don't care if they're up 20. I think they still keep throwing it because they've got to make sure the Commanders have no chance at winning this. You can't lose to the Commanders to end your season. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go to break on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. You're listening to Primetime Picks with Corey Sparks and Charlie Dern. Welcome back to Primetime Picks on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. He's Corey Sparks. I'm Charlie Dern. We just recapped Week 14 of the NFL. We had some Packers props talk, Packers general discussion and sadness. And then we had a little bit of fantasy advice as well as our canceled list. Now we've got to make some picks, Corey. We've got 2 picks and a touchdown score, and then we've got our parlay with a Packers prop at the end of the parlay. I'll lead us off. I've got the Jags +3. The Jags are home to the Ravens with an over-under of 42.5. That game's Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a big game, and it means a lot more to the Jags than it does to the Ravens. It's going to be a roller coaster for me. I already know that I'm going to be like texting in every group chat that I have, just like whining and complaining because the Jags are going to go up, then they're going to go down, or let them back in. It's going to be a close game no matter what. I think the Jags can win this game outright. It's a big game for them. The Jags are 14-6 against the spread in their last 20 games. In their last 5 games, they're 4-0-1 against the spread against the Ravens. They play well against this team. I think it's going to be the Jags have the Bucks, Panthers, and Titans next to finish the season.
Okay.
So I think this is going to be a kitchen sink game. If they have any chance of getting the 1 seed in the AFC, they have to beat the Ravens in this game, in this spot.
Pull out all the stops.
I know that the Ravens are really good, and I do love the Ravens this year. I think they're great, and they have the 1 seed for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like this spot for them. I think that they're kind of due for a loss, and I think the Jags are almost due to play well. And I do have a cherry-picked stat.
Okay, here we go.
Last week I had a cherry-picked stat. This week I have a cherry-picked stat. In Week 15, the last 14 games in Week 15 for the Jaguars, the Jags are 3-11 straight up. Why would they be bad in Week 15? So they've won out of their last 14 games in Week 15. They've won 3 of them.
Oh, that's so weird.
I don't get that for the life of me.
Before 4 years ago, they were pretty bad. Before 3 years ago, they were pretty bad. So I'm thinking they probably sucked every week. But but still,
it's like a short-term memory thing with them, I guess.
Odd.
But I guess their season's probably normally over by then.
Right.
For your first pick, we're looking at the Vikings and Bengals game. Bengals are 3-point favorites at home with an over-under of 40.5.
I know it goes beyond the quarterback matchup, but at the end of the day, we have Jake Browning kind of playing out of his mind again. No film theory here, and he's looked great. And he's had a pretty good person to learn behind, and I think a pretty good offense to learn behind in Zach Taylor as well. Going up against Nick Mullins, who historically hasn't been great, had some action in San Francisco. Now the Vikings are down to their 3rd-string guy. yeah, I'm just going to take the Bengals by, honestly, I would not doubt it if they win by like a touchdown or something here. I don't think the offense for Minnesota is going to be great. And also, it looks like Justin Jefferson's a limited participant halfway through the week. I think he has to play, but that doesn't mean he has to be at 100%. So, yeah. That doesn't feel right, but I'm going to do it.
You can't bet on Nick Mullins.
No.
You can't. So
you were saying before, it seems like that line is way too close to even.
Yeah. Well, because like, how's Nick Mullins only a 3-point underdog? I guess they're at home, and the Vikings crowd is crazy. So it makes sense. I guess it does make a little bit of sense, but I think they end up winning that game, the Bengals. Mm-hmm. For my second pick, we are looking at the Bears and Browns game. The Bears are on the road going to Cleveland. Cleveland is 3-point favorites at home with an over-under of 38.5. So we got a low total. Mm-hmm. Joe Flacco. I know I was saying bear down earlier, but I'm sorry, Corey. I'm picking the Browns here. Browns minus 3 in this one. I probably should just take the Browns on the money line, but they're like minus 180.
Yeah.
I don't really want to give out a minus 180 favorite. Like, congrats, dude. You
right.
Like, great. Congrats. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a game where the narrative around it is the Bears are back. The Bears are one game out of the playoffs. The Bears are kind of frisky and fun. Their defense looks great. Their offense is coming together. I think this is the game that people are going to look at when Luke Getsy gets fired after the season.
This is do or die.
This is against the Browns defense, which is the best unit in the game by far.
Best pass defense, yep.
Best pass defense. They're the best unit in the game. It's just the way it is. And I think the Browns are in and playing for Joe Flacco. Mm-hmm. They're getting behind him. The crowd's going to be behind them. It's going to be a weird noon game. 38.5 total. It's going to be low scoring.
Yeah.
Browns are 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games. 6-1 against the spread their last 7 games at home in Cleveland. I really like the Browns in this spot. I probably should just do Browns money line instead of Browns minus 3, but I'm going to stick with the points here and hope that I can just at least push on the field goal. For your second pick, we're going to the Falcons-Panthers game, the game that I will not be watching a snap of unless it's on Red Zone.
Yeah.
Panthers are 3-point underdogs at home with an over-under of 34.
The Panthers should not be 3-point underdogs against anybody. I'm a full. Even the Falcons, who have really let us down a lot this year, but the offense is firing on all cylinders last week. I think it's the first time all year where we were able to say that Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and Drake London, and Desmond Ridder all had really good games at the same time. I think they're catching the Panthers at the right time. The Panthers apparently, despite the fact they have no first-round pick, have no incentive to win, judging by how they've been playing. I think this is like easily a 10, 13, 16-point win.
Yeah, there's no reason to bet on the Panthers.
No, yeah.
At all. And the only thing I'll say is that the Falcons refused to play in a multi-score game. They only want it to be a 3 to 7 point lead
Concerns me a little.
Or down.
Yeah.
So I think they'll cover that. 3 points. It's kind of a rat. It kind of scares me because I don't have to worry about the game, so I'm not even thinking about the game. For my anytime touchdown score, I'm going A.J. Brown against the Seahawks. This is pretty much a play that the Seahawks allow a lot of passing touchdowns. They're ranked 10th highest in touchdowns allowed.
Okay.
And they're number 8 in passing yards allowed. So they can't really stop the passing game. And the Eagles are so due for a bounce back spot. A.J. Brown hasn't scored a touchdown in 2 weeks. This is the week he gets it.
Yeah, high-volume receiver against a really vulnerable secondary. And the Eagles also coming off 2 straight losses. I feel like this might be one of those beat-up games where they win by 20.
And they need to win this game because if they, after this, they have an easy schedule. So if they lose this game where they're only 4-point favorites.
Yeah, it could come back to bite them.
The Cowboys would win the division. Oh. Yeah, so you've got a Kyron Williams anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense game script-wise. Kind of ripped on the secondary of the Commanders before. This is a high-volume back in Kyron Williams since coming back from injury not too long ago. I expect the Rams to win this one pretty handily, and when that happens, simple enough, you run the ball a lot. So I think a lot of people are anytime touchdown candidates for this Rams offense. I think Puka could get one. I think Cooper Kupp, as long as he stays healthy, could get one. And I think Kyron can get one as well.
I'm just hoping this doesn't become a Tony Pollard situation where everybody scores in the offense except for the guy that you pick.
Yeah, then you just fade me. That's about as simple as it gets. Yep.
Moving on to the parlay. My parlay pick is the Giants plus 5.5 as they stand. They're 5.5 point underdogs. They might move to 6 point underdogs is my guess. I don't know how the Saints shouldn't be 5.5 point favorites against anybody except maybe the Panthers. the Saints stink. All right,
They're
I know
horrible.
I have Tommy DeVito PTSD, and I know I'm a Derek Carr hater, but the Giants will keep it close. They'll keep it to 1 score.
They could win it outright, honestly. I hate the Saints. Stafford over 263.5 passing yards. Still going to just rip into that Commanders defense. I think this is, again, a must-win game. They're not going to let their foot off the gas pedal at any point. I think he easily goes over 300. Yeah.
And then for our Packers prop to tie it all together, I'm looking at a Jordan Love over on passing yards, and you have Tucker Kraft anytime touchdown. Where should we land?
We're fading me. We
Okay.
have to fade me.
Okay.
We're just going to fade me.
All
I
right.
think against that secondary, it makes too much sense.
Fair. Okay, so for the parlay, we've got Matthew Stafford over 263.5 passing yards, Giants plus 5.5, and Jordan Love over on his passing total. The number's not available as we're recording, but it'll probably be like 230, 240, and we'll go over on that. And that'll do it for this week's edition of Primetime Picks on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. For Corey Sparks, I'm Charlie Dern. Thanks for listening, everybody. And as always, good luck in Week 15 of the NFL.